to the first instalment of Nate's Big Five. And tonight we actually have a huge show on one of my favourite destinations called Mafia Island. And we're going to be talking about everything you need to know to travel to Mafia Island. Now, I just need to get this slideshow up and running. Now, there's a number of people joining both live on Facebook, live in the Zoom, and you'll also be able to watch this show after as a recording. Now, if you're in Zoom, feel free to ask questions at the end of the show. I'm going to open it up and unmute everyone so that everyone can ask any questions they might have. If you have any questions on Facebook, post them through, and if I see them in time, I'll answer them at the end of the show. If not, I'll answer them in a comment after the show. So I suppose to just give you a little bit of an understanding of who Adventure Out Loud is and who I am, just in case you've never heard of us before. Adventure Out Loud is an African adventure specialist, and we're making a difference in the world by donating 50% of our profits to keep disadvantaged children in school. I've been traveling, living and guiding in East Africa for more than 10 years now, and Adventure Out Loud basically can offer you anything from Egypt all the way down to Cairo. So we cover most of the east coast of Africa. And this series is really about giving you a chance to find out about some destinations that aren't on your radar, that no one knows about, and maybe inspire you to get off the beaten track a little bit in Africa. A lot of people know about Safari or Kilimanjaro, but a lot of people have never heard about the 5 destinations we're going to be talking about in Nate's Big Five. So as I said, today is all about Mafia Island. And if you've never heard about Mafia Island, it's actually a very small archipelago off the coast of Tanzania. So you can see where the red dot is, or the red pin. That is actually where Mafia Island is. And it's about a 45-minute plane ride from Dar es Salaam, which is the capital of Tanzania. Now, Mafia Island is the perfect addition to a safari or a Kilimanjaro trek. And I'd recommend 4 to 5 days. I wouldn't necessarily recommend flying, particularly from Australia, to Mafia Island specifically. And the primary reason is that in Australia, we have such incredible beaches that, you know, it's a long way to go just for a beach. If you're in Europe and you really want some hot weather, then definitely it's worth going to Tanzania to visit Mafia Island for a beach getaway. And Europe and North America, well, particularly Europe, are just a lot closer than what Australia is. So that's why I'd say that. So you can see where Mafia Island is there. Just above Mafia Island is actually Zanzibar. Most people would have heard of Zanzibar before. And I suppose the reason why I'm covering Mafia rather than Zanzibar is Zanzibar is well known. Many, many people visit it each year, whereas Mafia is less well known. There's far fewer tourists that visit every year. There's fewer, I suppose, tourist setups, or it's less set up for tourists, which makes it a more off the beaten track type of adventure. And that's kind of what I want to get out of this series. I want to give people options that aren't going to be flooded with tourists. So I want to get you off the beaten track so that you can really enjoy your holiday in peace and quiet. So what can you do on Mafia Island? One of the reasons I love Mafia Island is for such a small place, there is so much you can do. Mafia has some of the best snorkeling and scuba diving in the world, and they have you know, courses there. If you've never been scuba diving before, then you can actually do your certificates on Mafia Island with professional guides, most of which are either from Australia or South Africa, funnily enough. You can also see humpback whales, and you can see turtle hatching at the right time of year. And the other great thing about Mafia is there's all these ancient ruins. So no one actually knows how long Mafia has been inhabited for. But we know it's at least as far back as the 8th century. So on some of the islands in Mafia, there's ruins that date back hundreds of years. And so you actually get to explore some of these ruins, which is really, really amazing. And there's even ruins right through to when Germany ruled Mafia in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so there's some old German buildings there as well that you can check out. And we'll talk a little bit about them in a couple of slides' time, because one of our favourite places to stay is actually built around the German ruins. There's also some incredible beaches that you can just take a boat out to and have an amazing time on a beach by yourself. Maybe bring a bottle of wine and your husband or wife, and just have a day by yourself on the beach. It's not very often you get to do that. Our team will catch local fish for you, cook them up, and you'll just have this amazing little barbecue on a private beach, which is a really amazing thing to do. Of course, the main draw card for Mafia Island is actually the whale sharks. So Mafia is one of the few places in the world where you can swim with whale sharks, and they're on Mafia half of the year. So between October and March, you can actually swim with these whale sharks. And if you don't know much about whale sharks, they're the world's largest fish. So think, 12, 15 meters long. They're huge. And whilst they have the word shark in their name, as I said, they're a fish, so they're completely safe to swim with. So when you go on a whale shark tour, you actually get to do a lot more than just swimming with the sharks. You'll go out there and you'll snorkel around some of the buoys, so you'll likely see other fish. And then if you're lucky on that day, you'll see a lot of whale sharks. And I'd particularly recommend going, December, January, February, because at the start of the season in October, there's less sharks. And again, at the end of the season in March, there are also less sharks. So you want to go in that peak period to give yourself the best chance of seeing multiple sharks. And when you jump in with the sharks, it's actually incredible how close you can get to. You can see on the screen now the picture of a guy with a camera, and he's only a couple of meters away from this shark or this fish. And it's amazing. If you're a confident swimmer, you can actually get really close to the whale sharks, and you can swim along behind them as they feed, which is really incredible. I would recommend that you're a confident swimmer. Definitely, if you've never swum in the ocean before, this is probably not the activity for you. But if you're a reasonable swimmer, then this is great. You'll have a life vest on. It's also an activity you can do with children. The only catch I'd say with that is it may be a couple of hours between when you leave shore and when you actually get to see a whale shark. So that can be a challenge sometime with children, I suppose, being able to deal with that weight. All of the gear is actually provided when you go swimming with the whale sharks, which is fantastic because you don't need to bring any of the gear with you. Obviously, if you have your own gear and you want to bring it, that's fine as well. The one thing I would say around whale shark tours is make sure you book through Kitsukablu. Unfortunately, Africa is one of those places where there's a lot of people who just start operating tours without too much knowledge of what they're doing. And that's kind of the case in Mafia. There's a lot of local tour operators who aren't necessarily responsible with the way that they run their tours. So you'll find boats of 10, 20, 30 people jumping in on top of the sharks, and that's not ideal because whale sharks don't love loud noises. So it's much better when you go with a tour provider like Kitsukablu, who is still employs a lot of local people, but they make sure that you slide into the water so you don't scare the whale sharks. They make sure if there's a lot of people around one whale shark, they'll go somewhere else and find another one. So they're a really good, responsible tourism provider. And so that's why I'd highly recommend you go with them. So as you can see, Mafia is action-packed with the amount of adventures you can do. It is a really, really amazing place just to get away for a romantic holiday though. So in a second, we're going to talk through some of the amazing places you can stay. And so whilst I say there's so many things you can do in Mafia, it is also nice to allow yourself a day or two where you can do absolutely nothing, or you can just get a private boat, sail out to an island in the middle of nowhere and just sit on the beach and enjoy a beautiful fresh caught fish barbecue or something like that. So you don't have to be go all the time. Now, as I mentioned before, Mafia is a 45-minute flight from Dar es Salaam. You can also catch flights from Arusha and Zanzibar, and flights cost about $300 per person. They are on small, normally 9 to 12-seater Cessna planes, and that's actually part of the adventure. You know, not many times in your life you'll get to fly into this beautiful remote island on a small plane with only a few other people. And as you can see from this shot, you know, as you're coming into land, you've got these beautiful reefs that you're seeing out the window, magic colors through the water. And that's one of the great things about Mafia. Pretty much from the time you get up in the air, there's this beautiful flight until when you land. And it's one of the most spectacular flights you'll ever experience in your life. When you get to Mafia, as I was saying, there's some incredible places to stay. And our favorite is actually Pole Pole bungalows. Now, Pole Pole in Kiswahili, which is the local Tanzanian language, actually means slowly. So this eco lodge is all about taking your time to get to know the island, relax, and really enjoy your holiday. A lot of the time we kind of jam pack our holiday full of adventures and we go all the time. And that's not what this place is about. This place is about creating an environment where you can really relax, unwind, and they do everything for you. So this is an all-inclusive luxury eco lodge. It's one of the best in the world, I believe. So they will look after all your food. Every evening they'll come round and they'll sit with you and they'll go, this is what's happening tomorrow. These are the things you can do. This is what we'd recommend. And so they make it really easy. And included in your price are a lot of the activities that you can do. Like if you want to go and explore the ruins or go on a picnic to one of the deserted islands, they're all things that are included in the price of when you stay at Pole Pole. They also have a really amazing private beach. And if you're someone that wants to get away from the kids, this place doesn't allow children under 12 to stay. So it's an amazing place for a romantic getaway. It isn't the cheapest place in the world. It is, you know, probably about the $200 to $300 US per person per night. But remember that includes a lot of your activities, all of your food, your airport transport. So it includes quite a lot. I think this is one of the best places you'll ever stay. It is really, really amazing. And as you can see from the pictures, it's quite beautiful as well. One of the other places I really love on Mafia is Chlo Machini tree houses. And this is another luxury option, but a little bit different to Pole Pole. This one's really unique in the fact that they've built their tree houses literally up in amongst the trees. So as you can see on this photo, you know, the tree houses are built often around huge baobab trees. And you'll actually have some of the fruit dropping on top of your roof at various stages of the year. So it's really, really authentic. They're a little bit more rustic than Pole Pole. So if you want something that's really off the beaten track, feels really natural, there'll be no one else around your tree house and you are literally up with the birds, this is the place for you. And as you can see from some of the pictures here, you know, you've got this gorgeous veranda where you can sit out there and enjoy a couple of cocktails. It's a really, really perfect place for a romantic getaway. They are also, so this place is actually also built around the Chlo ruins. And that makes it really unique because, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner photo, you can have dinner, candlelit dinner, in amongst the ruins. And there's not many places in the world where you can do that. So that makes this place really unique to stay in. This place is, again, reasonably expensive. You're looking at about 150 to 250 US dollars per person per night to stay at Chlo Machini. Now, if you're looking for a more budget option, we've also got you covered with this amazing little place called Kitsukablu, and it's the safari tents that the whale shark tour operator I was telling you about before operate. These are a much more budget option, still very, very comfortable, still includes all of your food, but it only sets you about 50 to 70 US dollars per person per night. So it's much, much cheaper. And this is a really, really good option if you're bringing your family across. They also have one of the best bars in the world, beautiful bar up overlooking the beach. Have got super cheap drinks. So if you like a good bar, this is a really good option for you. And also, because you're staying where the whale shark tours take off, it means you can do more whale shark tours, or you can maybe even get involved with volunteering and things like that. So there's a few more options with Kitsukablu around those types of things. So a couple of things you should know before you go to Kitsukablu, before you go to Mafia Island, is if you stay at Pole Pole or Chlo Machini, you actually pay marine park fees for each day you're inside the marine park. And because both of those two accommodation options are inside the park, you pay per day that you stay there. And that's about 50 US dollars per person per day. And the great thing is that money actually goes back to supporting this really important ecosystem in Tanzania. And Mafia Marine Park was actually the first marine park set up in Tanzania. And it's a really, really important part of the ocean ecosystem around East Africa. There's a lot of issues in East Africa with reef bleaching, same as we have in Australia. And one of the reasons why I really love the work Kitsukablu do is they actually are starting to do some really great work with regenerating the reef. And your marine park fees also help contribute to protecting the reef. As I mentioned before, one of the reasons I would highly recommend going to Mafia Island is because limited flights, limited accommodation, limited restaurant options actually mean there's hardly any other tourists. And that makes it really special for me. So when I'm saying hardly any other tourists, like all the accommodation options I just mentioned, you wouldn't expect to have more than about 20, often even, so Pole Pole, for example, you wouldn't expect to have more than about 15 other guests there. So it makes it this beautiful little romantic boutique type of feel. And it's very, very amazing to get away and spend time there. Now, if you're in a rush, I wouldn't recommend going to Mafia Island unless you've got at least 3 days. Because of the limited flights, you'll often find that a day or two are lost just to flights and flight connections. So you do want to make sure you have enough time. You also want to make sure, if you're going to Tanzania generally, that you've got your yellow fever shot. And if you can't have a yellow fever shot for some reason, then you want to make sure you get a doctor sign a certificate to say why. Because once you land in Tanzania, they require you to have this vaccination. And if you don't, you'll likely have to get it at the border. So I highly recommend yellow fever. I also recommend you take malaria medication when you're in Mafia or on Mafia, because it's at sea level, there's a much higher risk of catching malaria. Now, all the other medical things, I'd let you talk to your travel doctor. I highly recommend you visit a travel doctor before you go to East Africa. It's highly important to make sure that you've got all your vaccinations before you go, and also to make sure you're aware of many of the other things you might need to know to go there. So they're the main things I think you need to know before you visit Mafia Island. The great thing, if you book through Adventure Out Loud, even if you only want to book the accommodation, it won't cost you any extra. these places actually give us a commission to sell. So the price on their website is the same price we can give you. And if you book through us, we actually take all the hassle out of your logistics. So we'll organise all your flights, we'll organise all your transport, all your activities, all of your accommodation. We make it really super simple. We'll even help you with things like visas if you need, packing. You can pick up the phone and call us anytime, and that makes it really easy to organise your Africa trip. So what I want to do is I want to just open up the floor and see if anyone has any Q&A or any questions about Mafia Island. If you have any questions and you're live on Zoom, feel free to ask them now. You should be unmuted. If you are not live on Zoom and you want to ask a question, you can ask it on Facebook, or you can simply post it and we'll enter it after. So I'll just give you a chance to ask any questions. And I'm just checking Facebook as well to see if we have any Facebook questions now.
Nate, how long before, with the holiday I've already got booked, if I decided to go to Mafia, would I have to make a definite decision?
So Mafia, it's pretty easy to add to any of your itineraries. The only thing to factor in is, particularly around Christmas, a lot of Europeans go and visit, and so it can get quite busy around then. So Kim, for you, we could easily add it in within a couple of months, because I think there'd be plenty of accommodation still around that end of January when you visit. Yep,
all right then. Yeah, because I don't leave Australia till the 28th if we're allowed out, do I?
Exactly. And that's a really good point. Right now, it's particularly for Australians, it's going to be hard to visit Mafia Island. I suspect that when things open up, a lot of people are going to want to visit Africa. And as such, I suspect these things are going to book out. And one of the, I suppose, downsides to this being a really boutique type of off the beaten track destination is if Pole, for example, they've got about 8 or 9 bungalows. Once those 8 or 9 are full, they're full. So we do need to just factor in that when you're booking, try and give us enough time so that we can make sure we secure the accommodation you want.
Okay.
Same with the whale sharks. You know, most of the local operators will take you out any day, and they'll take everyone that comes. Kitsukablu, they limit the number of people that go on their tours because that's what's best for the whale sharks. So we do need a little bit of time to get you on the tour that you want.
No dramas.
Good question, Kim. Any other questions?
No.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any questions coming through on Facebook, and it possibly could be that I just don't see them. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can either comment on the Facebook, or you can get in touch with us by emailing us at info@adventureoutloud.me, or you can give us a call on 0432 822 652. And Kim, I know you and I have had a number of conversations. One of the things I pride myself in and pride my company in doing is making your experience super personal. So if you've got a question, you pick up the phone, you call us, we'll have a chat, we'll get to the bottom of it. We're not the type of organisation where you book online and you never hear from us again. We want to get to know you. We want to make sure this is your perfect African experience. And we don't want to just throw a cookie cutter kind of approach out there where we sell the same tour to everyone. We want to make this really unique experience for you, because Africa is one of the most incredible destinations in the world. And we want to make sure you experience everything Africa has to offer.
Yeah, you've been awesome, Nate. Yeah, very good.
And you haven't even got over there yet, Kim. I can't wait to get you over there in a year and show you the real experience. And your trip, you're going to be with me, actually. So I'll get to personally show you around and make sure you have an incredible time. So looking forward to that.
Yep. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Hopefully the borders open up soon. I know I'm getting a little bit stir crazy, and that's part of the reason I'm doing these shows, is it kind of gives me a chance to travel without traveling, I suppose. So hopefully you enjoy the journey as well. Next episode is actually on my favourite African adventure. It's on Jane Goodall's Chimp Research Centre, Gombe. If you're going to go to one place in Tanzania or East Africa, this has got to be it. It's incredible, absolutely amazing place to add to the back of your Kilimanjaro trek. It's on the banks of the world's second largest freshwater lake. So it's kind of like you're at a big beach and then you get to trek with the chimps. It's amazing. So highly recommend you join us for that episode, 18th of November. Again, I've typed that in incorrectly, but it should be 1800 Australian Eastern Standard Time, so 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And highly recommend you join us for that. It's going to be incredible.
I'm booked on that one.
You're booked on that one. Kim's excited for that one. This little guy, this picture on here, I'll just give him a little spruik. He's a picture I took actually. And last time I was there, he's a little adolescent. So I think he's about, forget whether it's 3 or 5 years, but somewhere in that kind of range. And his mum's actually one of the most reproductive mothers at this research centre. And they thought she was too old to have another kid, but she's just had a little baby. So when I was there, the baby was only a month or so old. And this little guy, like most toddlers, when he's been kicked out of mum's grasp, wasn't too happy.
He doesn't look too happy.
So, but absolutely adorable photo. And to be able to get, within 5 or 10 meters of animal that shares 98% of our DNA is incredible. This place isn't a zoo. They are, real animals in real nature. You don't just walk up to them, and it's not just you don't get, we're going to walk 5 minutes and then we're going to be there. We do actually need to walk through the forest to find them in their natural habitat. And that's what makes this experience really, really special. The other thing is that there's only about 2,000 people that visit this place every year. So it's super, super exclusive. So we'll tell you more about that on the 18th of November. Kim, thank you very much. Everyone else, thank you very much for joining us. And we'll let you all go and enjoy your evening.